Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me again. My name is Wilky and I'm here with the second installment of my Battlerite guide series. Now today what I want to talk about is something that is commonly referred to in the Battlerite community as Orbcontrol, or something, if you were to use a more broader term, is map control or objective control in that matter. And as you might have guessed it, this will revolve around this orb, this major big orb in the center, and also these minor or small ones that are usually scattered around the center or very close to the center of the map. Now keep in mind, every arena is a bit different, so the orb will always spawn on this little, I guess, platform you can call it, in the center every 20 seconds as long as there is no orb around. As you can see, since the orb is currently there, this circle is not starting to fill, so we're just gonna kill it for the first time, and then you can see that this little indicator will show you when the orb will respawn. As I said, it takes 20 minutes, and if it's on its last stage, you'll see that there's a small orb that keeps growing until it's fully there. Keeping an eye on that is quite crucial if you want to keep map control and if you want to consistently take the orb or make sure the enemy is not able to steal it from you, because as I said, this orb is a pretty good way to secure some victories or even help your teammates get back on health or energy for that matter. Now, some facts about the orb. It has 50 HP that you can see. I deal 24 damage with a right click, so now we have 26 HP left. And now 2. As soon as I kill the orb, everybody in my team will be healed for 20 health, and everybody in my team will get 25 energy. Since I'm alone in this case, or even if you're in a 2v2, 3v3 and you're last man standing and you get the orb, you will get instead 50 energy. So this is a pretty good way to get yourself back on track or give yourself an even greater lead because of the additional energy this orb grants. Also keep in mind that everybody on the map, regardless of how far away they are, will receive this boost. So let's say somebody's fighting over there and you're just basically very bad placed or you're low on health and you just go there and kill the orb, you'll not only heal yourself but also your teammates as well. Now as you can see, I'm gonna kill the orb and my HP should be getting up to 135 again, and as I mentioned, I will get 50 energy instead of 25 because I'm alone, and the timer will start again. Now there's a few things to note about the orb. It pretty much behaves like another player or an entity, and what I mean by that is, let me just show you 2 examples, and I'm gonna take Baco for the first one. Now as you all know, Baco's shield dash works as a small CC that'll drag enemies along the path if he manages to charge them. And as I mentioned, this orb behaves in a very similar fashion, so what this means, as you can see, I can actually use abilities like a shield dash to move the orb around. Now you may ask yourself, is this any good or any bad? And it definitely is, because it may be the movement that the enemy is not expecting to whiff an attack, to miss the final blow on the orb, and that maybe allows you to steal the orb or for your ally to deal the last hit instead. So this is a very good example of how the orb can be used and abused as well. And let me just grab one of these dummies here, and I'm going to show you another example of how this orb can be used. And we're gonna take Paloma, and as you all know, her Ghost Wolf will bounce between targets, and as you guessed it, you can actually use the orb as a sort of like a relay for your wolf to bounce between enemies. Now this can be used in 2 ways. The first one is just basically the way I showed you, that you will send your wolf onto the orb and it'll bounce back to the enemy. Even better though is if you manage to land the wolf on an enemy, it'll bounce back to the orb and then back to the enemy, resulting the enemy at 32 damage, which is quite a good hit, as well as potentially keeping control of the orb. So this is a very good way of how to use the orb, not only to give yourself an advantage in health and energy, but also to potentially hurt or kill enemies that might be using the orb as a shield and believing that they are safe because you don't have anything that pierces. So keep that in mind if you play against any of these enemies that have these kind of abilities, or maybe if you have a teammate that may wants to use this technique in order to either secure the orb or kill the enemy or deal damage to the enemy, otherwise not possible. Anyways, about the big orb, I think that's pretty much everything I can tell you about. Other than that, I think it's not mandatory and it's not necessary to keep orb control. However, keeping this orb under your control more or even multiple times during a round enables you, or usually helps you, secure a win much easier and much better. However, it all depends on the setup, and sometimes actually not going for the orb and instead saving your teammate or getting a potential kill might be the better option. Also, certain champions have it a lot easier to kill the orb than others, so always take care and always be prepared that some enemies, while not making an appearance to be interested in the orb, might do a last minute switch from the orb or from the target to the orb in order to steal it. Anyways, let's take a look at the minor objectives, which are these little orbs here. Now, the orange one are pretty straightforward. They will simply give you 8 energy, and there is nothing more about that. They simply will replenish a bunch of energy, and unlike the big one that respawns every 20 seconds, the small ones will respawn every 25 seconds. They don't have such a huge indicator, but as you can see, they keep on growing as well, so you can use this as a visual cue to more or less guess when they will reappear. Another thing you can do is take a look at the clock at the top of the game, which currently is not visible because I'm in training mode, but in a normal game you'll see the timer at the top. So if you actually manage to take the orbs and take a glimpse at the timer, you may very well know when they will respawn next. Now, for the green orbs, as you guessed it, they will replenish your health. And there's a couple things to note about, or basically 2 things. Now, first off, they will flat out heal you for 12 HP. And what's also different is that they will increase your max HP. And the way I'm going to show you is I'm going to take 1 orb, so you can see that I will be healed by 12. And now I'm going to heal myself full, add this little dummy here. So my current max HP is 196. And if I pick up one of these green orbs, you will see that my max HP will be increased by 6 to another 202. And same goes for the orb, however, the orb will replenish more of that. So both of these healing abilities or options you have will not only increase your temporary HP, but will also increase your max HP back to an old value. Now, this may not seem like a lot, but it may just be this little boost of HP that will be able to determine the winner in each round or in each battle. I'm pretty much done with this guide for now. This is all I can pretty much tell you. As I said, keeping control over these orbs will allow you to secure victories or kills a lot more easily. But then again, don't fully focus on these objectives. Getting a kill might be a bit more important because there's nothing worse than fighting a 2v1 or 3v1 in that matter, rather than getting the orb but having a teammate lose a life or not getting a kill in the process. So always take a look at the surroundings, always take a look at the map and what the current situation is like. If you already have a super hard lead and the enemy is nowhere near the orb, you might always skip it, but you might as well take it just to make sure that the enemy will never be able to get it. Anyways, I'm pretty much done, and hopefully this guide helped some of you guys understand the mechanics and basically the flat out values of these orbs. And hopefully this will make you a better Battlerite player as you learn to pay a bit more attention to the map objectives and maybe increase your ability or basically put a bit more focus on your map control as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little Battlerite guide, and yeah, as always, hopefully see you in the next one as well.